Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Hello and welcome back to our series of lectures about semantics and pragmatics. This is lecture 8, and as I said in the previous lecture, we're going to talk about the problem of universals. So there is a question when we read in, topics related to linguistics about the universality of semantic features. So are there semantic features which exist in all languages, or do we have all semantic features which exist in all languages? So do we have some of them at least, or all of them that occur in all languages in the world? Views differ on this issue of the universality of semantic features between the following two extremes. So imagine a line, and we imagine two extremes at each end. So at one extreme there is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. We will not deal much about this hypothesis. We'll just state there is a lot to talk about this hypothesis, but we will just say that this hypothesis suggests that each language can create its own world, and so its own semantics. And so this hypothesis says, well, semantic features are not universal, because each language has its own world and its own semantics. This hypothesis is also called linguistic relativity. As I said, we will not really go deeper into it. This is just what you need to know about it. So this hypothesis says, well, each language has its own semantics, and so the linguistics and semantic features are not universal to all languages. At the other extreme, we can say, well, components such as male and female and are found in all languages, and that there are many others as well, like the basic colors. So this other extreme says, well, there are semantic features that exist in all languages, and so this kind of view admits, well, there is universality of semantic features exist in languages. So we will examine three different claims about the universality of semantic features that range between these two extremes. So we will have three claims that we will look at in the next section here. So the universalist view claims. So claims that are related to the universalist view. The simplest form of the universalist view is that there is a universal inventory. We imagine there is an inventory of semantic features that exists in all languages. So an inventory of components that we have in all languages. There are three claims that try to explain the relationship between this inventory and the actual features we see in individual languages. So we have the strongest claim. It says that all languages use this whole inventory, and so they have the same features. So all languages use this inventory, and so all languages have the same semantic feature. This is the strongest universalist claim. But does this make sense or not? I think this claim might seem to be highly implausible. It's really hard to believe. The reason being is that we have very obvious differences in languages. So not all languages have the same semantic features. It can only be made to work by saying that all the semantic features can be exhibited somehow in each language, and this is really hard to achieve. We have also a weaker claim that says each language uses only some of the features in the total inventory, and also this might be a little bit hard to believe. It's easier to believe than the previous claim, but still it's a bit hard to believe. So languages can have components like male, female, black and white. The reason why this is a bit implausible is that we also have other features that we have in specific languages and in some languages. So this claim does not account for these features, and so we say it's more believable than the first, but still implausible. The weakest claim, the weakest universalist claim, is that only some features are universal. The other features are characteristic of individual languages. This might be the easiest one to believe, and it is more plausible than the first two. So it may not even be that the universal features are exactly the same in each language. So universal features are not exactly the same in each language, but still we have some features which are universal, and others which are special characteristic of individual languages. So this seems to be the case with the color terms. If you remember, we said color terms exist in all languages, and they are the same in all languages in some cases, but there are other cases where they differ in from language to language. And so if we say, well, the weakest claim is acceptable to us, if we accept it as a way to complete our discussion about the universality of semantic features, we say that languages share some semantic features, and if so, then we have a question. What kind of explanation can we give for this phenomena? Why do some languages share the same semantic features? We have 5 answers which we will discuss in the following section to answer this question. Why do languages have and share the same semantic features? So this section is about explaining language universals. So we have 5 answers. The first answer is the world is like that. Okay, so this is based on physical reality. So we look at something, we say, if we look at an animal, we can say, well, this is male, this is female, based on how the world works. Or this is an adult, this is a non-adult, based on our experience of the world. So physical reality can be one answer why we have the same semantic features. The second one, the structure of the mind of all people is basically the same. So our minds are similar, the minds of humans are similar, and so we share some semantic features regardless of the language. So all languages will have specific semantic features because people think the same. The structure of our minds is the same. We call this psychological reality. So we have a physical reality and we have psychological reality as answers that explain why we have universal semantic features. The third explanation is related to cultural reality. So the cultural needs of different societies are similar, and this is why they share some semantic features. So culture sometimes can explain, even though there are different cultures in different societies of the world, there are certain needs which are similar, and this is why we have similar semantic features in different languages. So cultural reality, we will go back to all of these and we will give examples of them and discuss them in more detail. We're just giving an overview now, and then we'll go back to them and explain them more. So moving on to number 4, there is or has been contact between different societies. So because of the contact between societies and societies that have different languages, this is why semantic features have moved from one language to the other. We can say that this answer can state that this existence of universal features is accidental. So it happened by accident. It isn't really part of why we are the same in the mind, psychological reality, or because the world is like that, physical reality, or because we have the same cultural needs. No, it's just an accident. An accident that happened as a result of the contact between different society, and this is why the same semantic features moved and became part of other languages, and this is why we have universal semantic features. So this is another answer. The fifth answer can also be stated as being accidental. So the languages of the world all come from the same origin. So every language we speak nowadays, every existing language, and even the languages that are no longer existent, we can say they all came from a common origin, and this is why we have some semantic features which are the same. So which answer makes sense? Can we say that answer number 1 is the reason for why we have universal semantic features? Can we say it's 2, 3, 4, or 5? Which one makes more sense? Well, we can say that there is some truth in all of these answers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, there is some truth in all, and even there might even be cases where certain semantic features are a result of the first answer. Other semantic features, universal semantic features, are a result of the second answer. A third group of semantic features are a result of the third one, cultural needs, or even contact between societies. And another group of semantic features which are universal are a result of a common origin. We can't really separate between them. But let's examine some of these answers in details and give examples of them. And then we'll talk about why we can't separate them, why we can't say, well, these semantic features are because of the first reason, and so on. Let's look at the first two answers, as we said, physical reality and psychological reality. So we can sometimes distinguish between what would seem to be physical reality and psychological reality. So the differences between, for example, cow, horse and elephant can be described on a physical basis. So these make sense that we say, well, cow, horse and elephant. How do we know that this is a cow, this is a horse, this is an elephant? They have semantic features which exist in most languages, and this is why these features are universal among languages, and these have a physical basis because of the way they look, a cow looks, or a horse looks, or an elephant looks. So we can tell based on our physical experience the difference between these, and they have semantic features that are universal in all languages, and this is explained by physical reality. On the other hand, even though it is true that different people make the same color distinction, so me and you can agree on the color blue, for example, or we say that, well, this is blue, this is red, this is black, and so on. We can agree on the same color distinction. These distinctions do not really exist in physical terms. If I tell you, well, this is blue, why is it blue? Alright, can you tell me based on physical terms? Like if I tell you, well, this is an elephant, why is it an elephant? Describe why it is an elephant. You will use physical terms to explain why this is an elephant. Well, it has a trunk, the way it looks, that maybe its own color or some things like that. So you will use physical terms when you talk about the semantic features that distinguish a horse from a cow. But when I tell you, well, this is blue and this is red, why? Alright, tell me why these are or black or white. So use physical terms to describe these distinctions. We cannot really use physical distinctions to differentiate colors. So we say this is part of the psychology of perception. In our mind, we can perceive that this is black, this is blue, and this is red. And even though we can say there is no physical way to describe them, there is actually an argument for a physical way to describe colors that we will look at in a bit. So let's look at cultures before we get into that. So we must not, of course, ignore the influence of cultures upon the linguistic systems. So culture can affect the linguistic systems, and so cultures may have the same need, and so they have the same semantic features regardless of the language. And they might even differ. So look at kinship terminology, for example. In all languages we have kinship terminology. Kinship means the names for relatives, so mother, father, grandfather, and uncle, and cousin, and so on. This is the meaning of kinship. So in all languages have kinship terms, but not all of these are universal. So some kinship terminology will be a reflection of cultural influences rather than physical relationships. So if we look at a language called Pawnee, the term that we might translate father in our language, alright, in English or even in Arabic and English might be the same for the kinship term father. In Pawnee it's different. They use father for all males from the father's side. So in English what we call cousin, or what we call uncle, what we call, for example, cousin maybe, and grandfather, every male from the father's side is called father, alright? While uncle is used of all the males from the mother's side. So all the males that come from the mother's side, including uncle and grandfather from the mother's side, we call it uncle, alright? So father and uncle, it's really different from the way we use it in English or Arabic when we look at Pawnee. Conversely, all females from the mother's side are called mother. So the mother, the grandmother, the great-grandmother are all called mother. And all the females from the father's side are called aunt. So all the females, the grandmother, the mother of the father, and your great-grandmother, the mother of the father, all of those are called aunt in Pawnee. And this shows us that culture can affect the kinship terms and even semantic features in certain languages. However, it will not always be easy or even possible to distinguish between cultural reality, physical reality, and psychological reality. We cannot really draw a line between these three. As I said, in the case of colors, we can give physical ways to describe certain colors, not all of them. Some colors we can use physical ways to describe them. So look at the case of color terminology again. We say that there are actually three factors at work when we look at colors. The first factor is physical features. So objective physical features we can see, we can touch, and we can say, well, this is, for example, if I tell you, well, this is green, explain why is it green. All right, you can tell me, well, you see the color of plants, so something we can see, the color of living plants, they are green, and so this is the color green because it looks like the color of living plants. Red, for example, you tell me, well, the color of blood is red, and so this is the same color, it's similar to the color of blood, so it is red. You see, we are using physical terms here. The blue of the sky, we say sky, the sky is blue. All right, so the same color of the sky, when it is blue, this is the color blue, we can agree on. So here we use physical features to talk about certain colors. So here we are describing colors by associating them with our physical reality. We're creating an association between the terms for colors and our physical reality. So this is the first thing that we can, the first factor that affects our semantic features related to color. The second thing that might affect how we distinguish colors is that we can distinguish them based on psychological reality. So the way we perceive them in the brain. So some colors are not really associated with physical reality, they are associated with how we perceive them and know them in the brain, and we cannot really describe them based on physical reality. The third factor that affects our perception of colors and how we distinguish colors is cultural consideration. So we can make certain color distinctions based on our culture, so or a culture of a certain language. If we look at the language of the Navajo tribe, the Navajo tribe is a Native American tribe, and Indian Americans. So the Navajo tribe has the basic colors white, black, red, blue, green, and yellow. They distinguish these colors based on objects they use in ceremonies. So in ceremonies they use certain objects, and each object has a certain color, and so based on their culture, when they say yellow, they mean the color that looks like this object that we use in our ceremonies. Red is the color that looks like this object that we use in our ceremonies. So we said physical considerations, like for example red is the color of blood. We say psychological considerations, things that we distinguish between colors in our minds, so we can distinguish between different colors. We don't use physical terms to describe this distinction, it's just the way we perceive it in our minds. And cultural considerations, in the case of the Navajo tribe, for example, they have objects of different colors in their culture, and so they associate, well, red is the color of this object, and so cultural considerations can also affect color distinctions in languages. So what we need to get out of this, it's not always easy to say these semantic features are universal because of this factor. Alright, so sometimes more than one factor can be at work. Some apparent universals may be no more than an accident of the history of language. We say that the contact between societies and also the common language origin, if this is actually the reason for the universality of features and semantic features, this is actually an accident. It's not really something deliberate that happened because of a physical way that is similar in all languages, or a psychological reality that is similar in all languages, or a cultural need that is similar in all languages. Sometimes it might just be an accident because of contacts between societies and common language origin. So let's look at modern Welsh. We talked about literary Welsh in a previous lecture when we talked about the semantic field. If you remember, we said that literary Welsh has colors that are different from English. So it has fewer colors when we look at a certain semantic field. But modern Welsh, now you know that there has been contact between the Welsh and English, now they look much more like that of English. So because of this contact between the languages, the color system in Welsh is now similar to that which is found in English because of the increasing bilingualism of people who speak Welsh. So because now they speak English and Welsh, the color system is starting to become the same. Also, in most semantic areas, and including the color system of course, the languages of Europe have much in common, and this is because they have there is close contact between the European societies. So because of the geographical place, there is close contact between them, and so they have a lot of semantic features in common. However, regarding the last two answers, or regarding the last answer of common language origin, we cannot really say 100% that, well, all languages come from a certain origin, or this group of languages come from a certain origin. So we cannot be absolutely sure about the historical relationship of the languages we are examining. So for the language families which we have evidence for that they come from the same origin, we really can only go back a few thousand years in the past. So we have a limit of how far we can go to examine the origin of certain languages. It's possible that all existing languages in the world come from a common origin, but we do not really know. Let us assume that all languages come from a common origin. If so, at least some of the universal semantic features of language may simply be accidental, as we say, because languages come from a common origin. As a result of, as an accidental result, some semantic features stayed the same in all languages, others changed because languages changed as they moved on through the years. Our languages could also be developed in quite different ways and from quite different origins. So it might not be even one common origin. No, we can even develop a language from different ways and in different origins. So these are the 5 answers. We talked about them in a bit more detail. What is the answer we can get out of these 5 explanations for the universality of semantic features? The problem is we do not really know much about the universality of language features and semantic features. So some agree that there are universal features, others say no, there aren't any universal features, as we said, and we don't really have a clear-cut answer that we can give. But this was just an overview of the different claims and the different explanations for the universalist view. Hopefully you found our lecture today useful and interesting, and inshallah we will continue our discussion of our other topics related to semantics in the coming lectures. Thank you for listening.